Well, here we are. So, okay, here's the thing. I'm more so of an artist than a historian, full disclosure. However, I know a little bit about the history of graphic design, and that's what we're supposed to talk about today. So, let's just do it. Let's just hop into it. Here's the thing. Graphic design existed before computers did. I can tell you that. Graphic design, let me stop the share screen for just a minute and tell you something. So, graphic design is a form of art, but okay, there's a beauty in art for art's sake, right? Like the Mona Lisa. There's a merit to just beauty for the sake of beauty. Graphic design is distinct from that in that there may be beauty involved, but it's for the specific purpose of changing someone's mind to do something that they wouldn't have done otherwise. So, like, whereas art in general might be, look at this, it's beautiful, that's great. There's a lot of merit to that. Graphic design will say, look at this, give me money for it. That's kind of the distinction. Not always only money, but like maybe, hey, look at this man, vote for him, and here's why. Or it may be, hey, look at this event, I want you to come to it. Graphic design is for the purpose of eliciting a response to do something that maybe you would not have done had you not seen that project. So sometimes it's even not a pretty picture intentionally. So like if you do a public service announcement, a poster that says don't text and drive, you may not show a pretty picture. You may show an intentionally ugly picture of what might happen if you do text and drive. And so again, art, I love art, big fan. Graphic design includes it, but there's a distinction. Beauty for the sake of beauty, a lot of times, a picture with words to get you to do something or spend money or go somewhere or stop something, stop smoking, that kind of thing. Okay, now we can get into it. So having said that, graphic design, it was a thing before computers were. And so this is an example of graphic design. It includes pictures and letters. I mean, you could argue like there's some beauty involved in this. There's some technical skill and talent. And a lot of parts are very symmetrical and intentionally pretty and just there for the sake of beauty. Like it didn't have to include this ornate, detailed stuff. Like that's extra nice beauty that they included in on it. But the primary purpose of it is, hey, this is what I want you to use to run our economy, right? To make our assets fluid and make things go economically speaking. And so, okay, here's the thing. One thing that graphic design does, okay, there's a thing called a pictogram, and a pictogram is an image that represents an object. So, okay, let's just say that you land in a different country. You get on the wrong airplane. Oh, dang, not the wrong airplane. Oh, no, I got on the wrong airplane in the international airport. All of a sudden, guess what? I'm in another country and I don't even know what country I'm in. They don't speak English. I know that because I'm listening. Oh, what in the world am I going to do about this? Well, that's a good thing about a pictogram is, let's see here. Am I still? Am I still recording? I think I am. So, okay, yep, I'm still going. Let's see here. Let me show you the screen. So here's a pictogram. If I see this, oh, that's a water fountain. No matter what country, what language, there's a picture that represents an object. Now that's a good thing. Here's oh, hey, phew. Here we go. I can go up this escalator. This is a baby changing station. Whoo-wee. Good thing because I brought my baby and I better change that baby. Bus stop, transportation, pictograms, very important. Form of graphic design. These are not just for the sake of beauty. These are for the sake of information, right? Hey, you need to know something. Here's what you need to know. Get over here. This is where your stuff is. These are pictograms. You go to any country, you know exactly what that is. Okay, another one is an ideogram. An ideogram is a symbol that represents an idea or a concept. So not just an object necessarily. So if you go to another country, whoop, I know what that means. Better not rock the vending machine because there are consequences. So it's not just to represent. This is not to tell you this is a vending machine. This is not that. This is not saying, hey, come get a Coke here. That's not what this is. This is representing a concept. Hey, you rock this. You better watch out. You better stop if you know what's best for you. This is representing a concept. This is a universal symbol for no. Somebody had to invent that. That's an ideogram. It's to represent an idea. No, don't do it. Don't do that. I found this on the internet. So assume I would gather like, hey, if you go in that location, you might be in some danger. I don't know. I would walk away from that area. Here's one I found on the internet. Do not taunt the octopus. That's pretty easy to see, right? So there we go. Another word is a rebus. A rebus is an image that represents a spoken sound. So I suppose like this. This does not read really, I heart New York. That says I love New York, right? And so it represents a sound. So historically speaking, graphic design has been used, good grief, politically, economically, socially, every way imaginable. It's, again, to get people to do something. A picture with some words to say, look, I need you to do something. Words are not enough a lot of times. The problem is we live in a very visual society, a very visual culture. If there's a great message that is written on a wall, but it's boring, problem is I'm not going to read it. I'm a busy guy. You're busy. We're all busy. You know, you got to grab somebody's attention and then use that attention to get the message in. And so one effective way to do it is to personify. Here's what you don't do. You don't just get a picture of the ground or an aerial view of the United States of America to say that, you know, help, join the army. I have no attachment to the ground. They personify, they wrap up, they sum up the United States of America in one person that they named Uncle Sam. Now, one person is looking me in the eye saying that he wants me to join the army. That's more effective, just psychologically, emotionally. That's more likely to evoke a positive response, right? You can take a picture of the city of Birmingham with a bunch of big buildings and things like that and say, join the army. I don't have really an emotional attachment to those buildings, but when there's a human who represents a large sum of people looking me in the eye, personally asking me for help, that's the way that they found is more positive. So Britain did the same thing. Britons wants you. Look at that. Same thing, different personality, different character. She represents American humans, but she's summed up as one person. And you know, we can do it. She's looking you in the eye. We can do it. You and I. That's we, right? So let's see here. Look at this. This is a little random, but here's Pepsi's old logo. Look at that. That was Pepsi's logo. Little operation. Let's see here. Okay, so graphic design, of course, over the years, like everything else, has been influenced by multiple things, including but not limited to society, culture, politics, and technology. You know, we work with what we got. Technology is a huge part of graphic design, and graphic design from 100 years ago looked way different than it does right now. And I'm convinced that they were not less creative. If anything, they may have been more so because they had to be. They had to be resourceful. They had limited resources to work with, and doggone it, they milked them and made the most of them, right? And so culture influences a ton. Politics, that makes things go, right? That influences things. So some of the stuff, like many years ago, parchment paper was invented. You know, we don't even think about this, but there was a time when paper was not, right? So, I mean, graphic design was a little different back then. You might find it on cave walls, you know, things like that, scratched in. Might find it in hieroglyphics, on stone, things like that. Print is relatively new, like printing things, for years and years and years. Humankind had to, oh, I see. So I'm not, there I am. This confused me a minute ago because I had that thing on. Okay, so humankind, they would have to do everything by hand. They could not print it till like 1460 or something like that. Gutenberg made the press. That changed everything. Technology changed graphic design big time. Then when they could start printing things. So here, let me show you some more stuff. Where's my share screen? So anyway, let me just show you some examples. So this 3,600 years BC. This is the oldest artifact, at least at the time, known to combine both pictures and words. There may have been some before that, maybe. It's the earliest that we know of. So that would have been what, roughly, I don't know, 6,000-ish years ago. That have both pictures and words, maybe a little more than 5,000 years ago. So, I mean, that's graphic design, is communicating a message. I do not know what message they're trying to convey. Probably like, buy this stick, or purchase these shoes, or vote for me, or else, or stop smoking. I don't know. Don't text and drive. He was trying to tell her something. He's got all those words in there too. So here's one look at this. 105 AD, a particular government official was credited with inventing paper. That changed things. Things started looking a lot different when they had paper to work on, as opposed to, stone, wood, things like that. So 1450, Gutenberg came up with a printing type system. That changed things. 10 years after that, this guy, I don't know, Albert Fischer, I guess, he added illustrations to a printed book. Imagine 10 years went by, books, no pictures for 10 years. And this guy, he gets a pretty good bargain. He draws one thing, and that one thing suddenly is printed everywhere. Like, we experience this all the time. Back then, it wasn't a thing. You would draw one thing, it was in one place, and that's it, until 1460. That's crazy, right? In 1460, this guy drew one picture, and that one picture went everywhere. So it took him a while to figure that out, but it happened. So one of them is just, okay, so like people would draw things like this often, and that would be their livelihood. That was their job. They were print artists. And what they do is they would they would get like a block of wood or something, probably not paper, and they would carve it out so that they could get ink and put it on there. And when they stamp it, that's what could be printed over and over. So it wasn't just drawn on paper. It was probably on a wooden block or something like that. But then the camera came out, and rather than printing a bunch of drawings, they wanted to print pictures. You could have a drawing of a boat or a picture of the boat, and a lot of times they would use the pictures of it, right? So then they started combining. Okay, well, you know what? Let's draw an exaggerated person who's funny looking, and let's make him say words. That's how comic books basically were invented. You just kind of have a technology change, and then you adapt. And so, oh, you know what? Okay, if you want to use photos for that, fine. I get it. I really do. I'm going to draw funny things with funny words, or stories with pictures and funny words, and that's how comic books came about. Technology advances, and people kind of go with it. So let's see here. I think we're about done. I think 60 years after that, this guy, Nicholas Jensen, he was one of the first and supposed to be one of the best typeface designers. That was his job. His job was to make new typefaces. This is 60 years after Gutenberg. So apparently they reused the same font over and over and over again, right? When they did the printing press. And this guy, he starts coming out with different fonts. So just, some look more classy, some are more eye-catching, things like that. And so he starts selling them to, I guess, papers and print companies and things like that. Let's see here. He sold them to printers. Let's see, the Apple computer came out in 1984. It didn't just have words, it had pictures. Some of you kiddos, you probably don't even think about this. Here, when I was a kid, when I was your age, I was in high school. Our computer class, we had one computer class, and you would type words, and there were games, and there was like a war game, and it said, how many people do you want to send into battle? And you type in, I don't know, like 2,000, I guess. And it would say words like 1,600 survived, that kind of thing. Like there were some pictures, but they were very, very elementary. There were a lot of words, just like word games and stuff like that. So I played a game, man. Some of y'all, if you're older as me, you'll remember Oregon Trail. There was a little, like a rectangle with legs, and there was a deer, another rectangle with legs, and you're like, oh, I better shoot this deer. That's the only way I can survive in this video game. You'd shoot a bullet, and it was slower than the deer. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Our computers, the pictures that did exist, they were not great, not too great. Lots of words, not too great pictures. However, at least it was a start. They had pictures in 84. And then, let's see here. I'm trying to show you the next thing. Oh, here we go. In 1990, Photoshop was invented. Look at it. Look at that. Not so great, but better than nothing, I suppose. And then, yeah, that's probably, oh, here's just a few examples. So here's an old phone ad. Look at this from a long time ago. Western Electric is crossing the telephone with a TV set. Look at this. And then nowadays it's like, hey, your phone can do anything. They're very classy looking. Look how good these pictures are. Phones is not, they're not primarily for talking anymore necessarily, right? So here's an old car ad right here. Let me hide this. Here's an old car ad. Here is a more modern car ad. Here's an old fabric ad. Wool. Let's use wool. Here's a more modern fabric ad. Here is an old shoe advertisement. Here's a modern shoe advertisement. In fact, you know how it is. Like we're celebrity driven. Our advertising is. So like some don't even necessarily have to show a shoe, right? We want to follow people. We want to follow individuals. And so let's see here. Here's one, an old motorcycle ad. Here's a modern motorcycle ad. Again, kind of follow. This is not a particular person. He represents a tough person, right? So here's another one. Look at that. What a creative person. You see how they came up with a face in there? They took a motorcycle apart and they made a face. Here's another modern motorcycle ad. Y'all get the point. Here's an old, I guess, calculator ad. Here's a modern computer ad. So that's probably enough. I mean, we could go on and on. Well, here's an old Coke ad. Here's a modern Coke ad. Here's a modern Coke ad. That's probably enough. History of graphic design. We touched on it pretty good. Okay. Well, if you have any questions, y'all just holler.